All right, what's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Fans Union for the fans by the fans. Uh, got my two lovely cohorts. Graham's not with us tonight, but still got two great people here in his absence. What's going on, fellas?
How's it going, brother?
Terrific night. It's great weekend in sports. Great time in sports. Crazy World Series going on right now. We'll see how that unfolds. As they are probably about to play. That goes to seven. Is that an 8 game series? Is that what we're going to call that?
Be reasonable,
They did play 9 innings, extra innings last night.
which is insane.
So, a lot to talk about in college football this weekend. Had some surprising outcomes to say the least. Had some that we kind of saw coming. And one event, someone was exiled that we may or may not have saw coming this soon or at all, really. But Logan, go ahead and lead it off talking about your Rebs a little bit. They had the big win this weekend. I guess I don't know if you call it a comeback win, but they were down in the third, fourth. I can't remember they were down in the fourth or not.
Yeah, they were.
Um, and yeah, end up leaving with the win. Lane Kiffin got his words in after the game as he always does. But yeah, just tell me how you're feeling.
Feeling good. Feeling even better that 2 weeks ago I said I thought Georgia would beat us and we'd take care of Oklahoma, and that was our two big games coming up. Looked like top 10 matchups at the time, and pretty much hit it on the head with that prediction. So feels weird to think that Ole Miss did what they were expected to do. So let's just hope the next 4 games they do exactly that again and do what they're expected to do, and hopefully win out and clinch a playoff berth. Trinidad Chambliss has another excellent game. Throws for 315. I was looking at a stat I ran across on Instagram and screenshotted. Chambliss has thrown for 250 plus yards in all 6 games that he started this season. That's the longest streak in the SEC by any player this season so far. So pretty much been an automatic 250 from Buddy, and that doesn't even count as rushing yards. That's just passing yards. So he's pretty much been automatic 250 every start with only one turnover on top of all of that. And once again, that doesn't mention what he does with his legs. It's such a big part of his game. And once again, I say it almost every week. You look at the box score and you see 24 of 44, and you're like, oh, geez. Like, it never percentage-wise looks pretty, but a lot of it is him running out of bounds, or not running out of bounds, running out of the pocket, not having anything. And instead of forcing it, which he made that mistake once, instead of forcing it, he's just dumping it out of bounds, which is heads-up playing. So it's like, when I see his box score, I'm not even mad at it. And I can see where, if you're someone who's not watching Ole Miss, which I know, like, historically we don't have a lot of eyes on us, maybe this year more since we've been in the top 10 the last few weeks. But if you're just looking at box scores of these games, you're not necessarily watching them. You're probably not thinking Chambliss is really making the impact he is, just because the completion percentage is not there. But it's because he's getting out of some tough pockets where they're collapsing, he's scrambling, not finding anything. There's no room to run it upfield, so he just dumps it off. He does a lot of that, but I would prefer it that way. Kawan Lacey looked good again. He had 2 rushing touchdowns, ran for just under 80. Yeah, he ran for 78. So that was another pretty solid game by Quan Lacey. I think he's eclipsed like 600 something yards this year, or maybe it was 700 he eclipsed this game. But I mean, he's up there averaging around the 78-yard mark per game, per game. So he's looking good. Our rushing defense surprised me this game. I think we did a pretty good job holding their rushing. They had one big play in the third quarter for a 65-yard touchdown. And I jinxed it. I just told my dad the drive before they showed the stats, and Oklahoma had 12 rushing yards, and it's like middle of the third quarter, maybe closer to beginning. But I told my dad, I was like, 12 rushing yards is insane because Georgia was running at a 5-piece every time they touched the ball last week. And then I'd be damned the next time they run the ball, it's not for 65 yards, and I immediately eat my words. But the biggest takeaway from me on this game, I'd say 2 of the biggest takeaways. Number 1, the biggest takeaway from me, this week we outscore Oklahoma 9-0 in the fourth quarter, whereas last week it was the opposite. Last week it was last week it was the opposite. Like last week, close game, and we just kind of shit the bed, for lack of better words. And this week on the road, we turned it up and went and finished the deal, which is big for us, keeps us in the playoff contention. This was our on paper last big tough game, like true tough game on paper. Obviously, we've still got Florida, South Carolina, Mississippi State. So, I mean, we still got some SEC schools who have looked good this year in certain instances. And obviously, it's SEC, so any given Saturday. But secondly, I don't want to dive too much into it too soon, but obviously all the coaching rumors, we had another big firing this week. The better Kiffin does, the more it kind of scares me because it's like strike while the iron's hot kind of thing, you know? Like he wasn't expected to do much this year. And here we are 7-1, number 7 in the country. And it's like looking very playoff hopeful, you know, unless we just drop the ball. So could be an instance where somebody just offers him a crazy number. I know he says that money's not going to drive his decision, which I kind of believe from Kiffin, as crazy as that sounds. But I don't know. The better he does, the more it does kind of make me sit back and think like, damn it, don't do this to me. You know what I mean? Like, don't do this to me. Like y'all saw Graham text in the chat earlier, like, if Kiffin were to leave, who's your next option? My response was, it's Kiffin or we're fucked. No one's gonna do what Kiffin's doing at Ole Miss, dude. We can go get a James Franklin and, you know, still maybe be in the conversation, but Lane Kiffin has truly changed the what's the word I'm looking for?
Culture.
Expectations, culture as well, but expectations. Like expectations in the past where we win 10 games and we're ecstatic. Lane Kiffin's done that every year, every full year except for one. Not counting COVID year because 10 games is all we played and we went 5-5. But literally a 10-win season is just I mean, we beat LSU like I talked about and didn't even rush the field. Like blows my mind that we did that. Like things like that are just becoming an expectation. I love it. If Kiffin leaves, I'll cry. I'm still on the thing of I gotta see it to believe it. But yeah, it makes you think when you just continuously watch him do more with what kind of feels like less this year compared to last year. So we'll see on that note, but I think it was a huge win overall. I know I just rambled for a solid like 5 minutes, but big win for us. I'm glad we took care of business on the road. It was also Lane Kiffin's first ranked SEC road win. I thought that was kind of blew my mind, to be honest.
Wow.
He was 0-6 against ranked opponents in the SEC on the road since joining Ole Miss. So he gets his first ranked win on the road. Pretty big deal in SEC play. And I think I mentioned this the week Texas and Oklahoma was playing. Oklahoma's record in the SEC since they've joined is not good. And Texas's is, which Texas is, you know, everyone doesn't really believe in them this year, but they're winning SEC games again. Whether we believe in them or not, they're winning the games. So I just think that's another crazy thing of Oklahoma coming in because I think they won like 8 straight championships over at the Big 12. So it's like they were kind of running that conference for a while there and then join over. Joey, I think you mentioned it. Maybe it was before we had to reboot the Venables thing. Hilarious comment by Kiffin. Hilarious for him to talk shit to a player while trying to get interviewed. And, you know, I think that's funny. He was on Kiffin Kiffin was on McAfee's show talking about it. And they were talking about how, like, you would be surprised how many players will chirp with him during a game. And then when it comes time for portal, they're talking to him and they're like, this is the reason, one of the reasons why I want to play for you. Because when I was playing against you, you had your team's back. You were talking shit with them. Like you're in the trenches with them, you know? So he said he's had players come and say things like of that nature to him, which doesn't really surprise me. But yeah, Kiffin is one of one. There's no doubt about it. Not many coaches are going to get away with just blatantly trash talking players the way he does. Whether it's weeks on the tempo comment or posting videos of them saying they want to beat Ole Miss, or whether it's talking trash to an Oklahoma player as he's walking up to him during an interview. Kiffin's hilarious. He calls out Venables says they have the better team. He mentions, did they have the better team last year? Did they have the better team when I was at Alabama and beat them when he was at Clemson? Brings up another time where they beat them. And Kiffin pretty much just started firing rounds.
Yeah, he eviscerated him.
Yeah.
I mean, is there a bigger personality in the coaching world, in college football coaching world right now than Lane Kiffin? He kind of seems to be the star of that. And really, aside from Nick Saban, I think he's kind of always been that.
And you know what's crazy? The only other person that kind of matched his energy was Mike Leach, who was at Mississippi State the last few years he coached.
Yeah.
Like those two were very entertaining.
You brought up something about the one thing that I was kind of looking out for Ole Miss this weekend was like you were talking about the run game. Because Oklahoma has the fifth lowest rushing per yards total in the SEC, and I know that's somewhere Ole Miss has really struggled with. I mean, Georgia, they're one of the best rushing teams in the country, so I don't really want to compare that a lot, but I mean that was one of Ole Miss's strength or weaknesses, excuse me. So it was good to kind of see them get back on their feet like that. But like we're going to talk about with a few more teams on here, um, I personally ugly wins they don't bother me as much, and I wouldn't call this an ugly win. It wasn't, but like these comeback wins when you're down, you're not playing well, and you kind of figure it out. To me, that's what makes a team good. I mean, there's always gonna be those days where you're never as good as your best game, you're never as bad as your worst game, right? I think that's kind of the mantra of college football, especially. Um, but when you're fighting these like a Georgia Tech, it's a little bit different. But like they've had all these come from behind wins this year. That shows me that these guys can really play, and then when it's in the trenches, they're going to execute. And I mean, they got the coaching at Ole Miss. Obviously, got the talent. So I mean, this is shaping up to be a really really scary SEC championship race. Like I have no idea who's going to be there. I could predict. I mean,
You
it looks like
about,
it's going to be. It looks like it's going to be Alabama and A&M, but the sport's crazy, man. Who knows?
you mentioned in Ole Miss and their close games. It's terrifying because I do feel like there's been some team like this Oklahoma game. Like I think Lane Kiffin hit on the head. We should have won by 2 or 3 scores. We dominated this game really and truly. Like if you look at the stat sheets and everything, just the control on the field, it really felt like we should have been winning by much more than we were. So another one, like I don't know, like I look at Ole Miss's schedule. We beat Kentucky by 1 score. We beat Arkansas by 1 score. We beat LSU by 1 score, which is another game where it felt like we should have been up 2 or 3 scores. Beat Washington State by 1 score. We lost to Georgia by 1 score after being up 2 scores, and then we beat Oklahoma by 1 score. So it's just like all these close games. I mean, the only 2 that hasn't been close is we blew out Georgia State and we blew out Tulane, which the Tulane one kind of surprised me. But
look at Big Ollie back there.
One more stat I wanted to throw out. We don't have to touch too much longer on Ole Miss, but so Princely, it's Umanium. However you say the last name, I will forever butcher it. Sorry about it. So he's now playing in NFL. Last year against Oklahoma, we had like a school record. I think it was like 11 sacks that game. So our defense went berserk, right? So Prince Lee last year, 2 sacks, 8 quarterback pressures. So this year in the portal, Lane Kiffin went and got his younger brother from Nebraska, right? And his name is Prince Well. So they both go by Prince. They both get called Prince, and however you say their last name, I always butcher it. Well, last year, Prince Lee, 2 sacks, 8 quarterback pressures. This year, younger brother, 1.5 sacks, 7 quarterback pressures. So I don't know what it is with these Prince boys in Oklahoma, but they got it out for them. And literally – watching the game, I told my dad, I'm like, Prince is going off like his brother did last year. And then like I ran across it on Instagram where their stats are like damn near identical. And I'm like, that's insane. Like that's pretty cool. Like to be, you do it one year, your brother transfers to Ole Miss and does it the next year against the same school, just shows out like that. So I thought that was pretty cool to see. They both wear number 1. Both are Prince Well and Prince Lee. Don't know why you name your kid something so similar. And then obviously same last name. So kind of wild. I mean, I'm sure Venables was having like nightmares thinking about that last night or Saturday night, whatever night it was, thinking just like one goes to the draft and gets drafted, and here it is. Little brother steps in and dominates it and makes Mateer's life hell just like we did the year before. So I thought that was a pretty cool stat, though, seeing 2 brothers have pretty much identical stat lines against the same team.
Trip, I want to ask you something. Really, whoever, feel free to chime in. Obviously, Mateer, this can come back from that hand injury, has not been the same guy. This offense really hasn't got rolling like it once did. I mean, honestly, it was. I think they had. I think I saw something like the yards per carry was like 3 against Power 4 teams. So, has this offense reached its peak? I mean, these guys, they're 6-2 now. So their backs are against the wall. They want to stay in championship contention. Has this offense hit its ceiling? Is that about as far as this offense can go?
I mean, it's hard to say. Are we going to get a fully healthy Mateer again? I mean, this is kind of like what I talked about a couple weeks ago, where you can tell some of these teams around the country have, their whole offense circled around one person like Haynes King at Georgia Tech, Diego Pavia at Vanderbilt, and that works out great when your quarterback plays well. But when he doesn't, you can see where they, run into a brick wall. And to touch on Ole Miss a little bit, I want to give them their credit. Aside from that 65-yard run that they gave up, they really kept Oklahoma from running the ball in general. So forcing Mateer to actually throw the ball. And if you include him, quote unquote, not being fully healthy, which I think that excuse is going to run out eventually, you saw the result. So, I want to give more credit to Ole Miss than I am going to, take away from Ole Miss and Oklahoma and give them excuses. But I think Oklahoma is going to have to do pretty much what Michigan is doing right now, and their defense keeping them in games to where Mateer doesn't have to have a Heisman type of game, for them to pull one off against a big opponent. I did say take the over in this game, by the way, and it did hit. So
you were right about that.
Not by much, but it did. I think it was 52.5, if I'm not mistaken, but it covered. So it was a hell of a game, though. I enjoyed watching. I agree with Logan. I mean, the box score will tell you a little bit differently if you're looking at quarter by quarter who scored what. Like, I never at one point watching this game thought Ole Miss was going to lose. Like, there was the one time they were down. Aside from that, like, they just purely dominated them. But I don't know what to feel about this Oklahoma team. They feel like a team that can, knock off somebody if all the, cards are played right in their favor. But I don't look at them as a national championship caliber team at all right now.
I thought, and it looked like at one point they were going to be. So it's interesting to see how that goes. But I thought the biggest insult to Oklahoma's offense was Lane Kiffin going for it like on his own 20, deciding to go for it on their own 20, and then they end up getting a field goal out of it. Like, he trusted his defense enough to the point where he was like, yeah, these guys aren't, unless it's an explosive, these guys aren't getting in the end zone.
Not only did we go for it right there, bad snap, and we lost like 6 yards.
Yeah.
So, like, just shot ourselves when that happened, I was like, are we trying to give this away? Like, it was very questionable. Another questionable thing we did, we got all the way down inside the goal line, put Austin Simmons at quarterback 3 straight plays, and then kicked a fucking field goal. That made me so mad.
I did not understand.
Yeah, that one threw me off.
And then the second one that Austin Simmons was in on, well, the first one he overthrows a touch pass, which I will say, I get having Simmons throw that because I love Chambliss. He cannot put touch on the ball. He's missed 5 to 10 passes this year where all he's got to do is lob it up for his guy to go get it, and he can't. He overthrows it every single time. If he's got to throw a fastball and put it in a window, money. If he's got to put some touch on it and loft it up for a guy to go get, I'm scared every time. And I mean, I love Chambliss. He's played phenomenal, but that is one of his flaws is touch passes. He doesn't really have much touch and finesse on a ball. But yeah, putting Simmons in that situation, and then the second place Simmons is in, you literally go put Chambliss on the sideline, very, very questionable. Like, you got a guy who's literally, I think he's 6th best odds to win Heisman at this point, which I don't truthfully think he has a chance to win Heisman, but just him being in that conversation is nice. But you got a guy who's top 10 in the Heisman ranks, and you're putting in a guy who was very lackluster the first 2 games of the season and is apparently still battling an ankle injury. But at this point, let's just call a spade. He's the backup.
Yeah. Well, I just want to close out with our listeners. Think about how grim it gets for Oklahoma. Their next 2 games are at Tennessee, at Alabama, and then against Missouri and LSU, which LSU we're going to elaborate on for sure in a little bit. But that's
they could lose out.
Huh?
They could lose out.
It's set up to be that way.
I mean, I'm not saying they're going to, but like, I mean, them and LSU will just be a defensive off, I guess. I don't know what that's going to be.
Defense off is nuts.
I mean, both of those teams is like if they allow more than 20 points, they lose.
Yeah. So, well, next game we're going to get into talking about close losses, comeback wins, scrappy wins. It's a game that I watched very intently. Unfortunately, couldn't make it out there this weekend, but Alabama at South Carolina. South Carolina with 10 minutes left is up 8 points, seeming to be in command of the game. But these freaking Tide, man, you just can't count them out. When you got arguably the best player in the sport wielding your offense and Ty Simpson, uh, you're gonna have a chance no matter what. Um, South Carolina, man, it's the offense is just, and I know if you, I'm getting some stuff pulled up about it right now, but like it's their offense. There were a couple drives where they were able to really create some static, if you will, or really get something going. Um, this offense is just it's pitiful. It's so bad. I mean, the play calling is atrocious. This was the best game Mike Shula, their offensive coordinator's called this year. I'll say that. But this team is home run. It's live and die by the three ball, live and die by home runs. That's all it is. Like Nick Harbor, their receiver, is an absolute mutant of an athlete. He's 6'5", 6'6", 240, and a track runner. And he was supposed to be like one of the big guys, quit track this year. He's got 3 touchdowns this year. 2 of them are 64-yard bombs. One that he caught in this game, so 60-plus yard bombs, and one is a 2-yard touchdown. He's kind of like I'm either going to blow by you on this route, like on a deep ball. I'm either going to do that, or I'm not scoring. I'm not doing anything. I might get open on a hitch if they're playing cover 3 or something, but that's about it. But yeah, this defense though, I think is still really special. Dylan Stewart, maybe the best defensive player in college football. That guy lived in the backfield Saturday. He is so good. I hope for South Carolina's sake that he does not decide to take his talents elsewhere this year. He is a true sophomore, and that's a bad man. That guy. I mean, this defense causes static. You're getting arguably the hottest offense in the game. Prior to that last drive in the game, Alabama had 215 yards. Or before the drive when they went to go tied up with like 5 minutes left, they had 215 yards to that point. I had to change my article like 5 times, the post-game one. But I think what I came away from is just the South Carolina team is just they don't have the offense to win games like this. I mean, if you're up 22, if you're up 8 points with 10 minutes left, you got to go win that game. I think Shane Beamer, when they scored that, because Nick Harbor also made a big play, forcing the kind of like tricking the one of the return guys to run into the ball. They recover that. Lenore Stellar scores the touchdown. That's when they go up 8. And then it just after that, like once South Carolina started driving, I'm like, or Alabama started driving, I'm like, God, these guys don't have the offense for that. And I know like Lenore Sellers in this game last year had a big fumble, which was totally, just a bonehead fumble. The fumble he had, I've seen a lot of people saying, "Oh, you're the superstar. You can't fumble like that." Those D linemen made an incredible play. I think we're too quick in this society, not us three, but just us as football viewers, media people, whatever you want to call it, to assess something being someone's fault versus somebody making a really good freaking play. And that's what that was. But yeah, South Carolina now is 3-5, 1-5 in conference play. Guys, I don't think they're going to make a bowl game. And this was a team who was looked at to be a playoff team, a potential playoff team coming into the year. Your next game this weekend at Ole Miss, which Ole Miss, Logan, I think this isn't an insult to say, not necessarily the home field advantage that you typically find in the SEC. But Ole Miss is playing so well that they're not going to shoot themselves in the foot at home, which is kind of what you were getting Bama to do. And Williams-Brice, which is a crazy place. But then your next game, you're heading to Kyle Field, who is arguably the best team in the SEC right now, followed by Coastal Carolina. Should be one of those games. But then your last game is Clemson. And Clemson very well could be in the same spot, fighting for playoff contention or bowl eligibility, excuse me. Could be fighting to be making a bowl game too. When that D-line and how poor South Carolina's offensive line is, yeah, it's not looking good for them. I wrote an article about that, actually, about how they really could not make a bowl game. It's definitely lining up that way. But enough of my rambling. I for those who don't know, I cover South Carolina, so definitely have a lot to say about this one. But Yeah, fellas, just kind of tell me, if you guys were able to catch the game, what you thought about it, what you think about Alabama, South Carolina, whatever it may be.
Jump in, Trip.
Yeah, I didn't watch every single snap of this game, but I mean, South Carolina just continuously proves that they're the same team week in and week out. They've got a defense that can cause a lot of issues and an offense that's just really and truthfully hard to watch. I think that when your quarterback is your leading rusher, that tells you a lot about, and I feel like that's the outcome for a lot of South Carolina games this year, if not all of them. But their starting running back, Matt Fuller, that's their starting running back, right?
Well, they have kind of a 3-man game, but their starting is Rasul Faison, but they all kind of split
Gotcha.
carries. Rasul Faison was the one who took him forever to get eligible, his grad transfer.
Yeah, well, Matt Fuller led in carries in that running back room and averaged 1.6 yards a carry. So if that tells you anything you need to know, I mean, it's just all the pressure is on Lenore Sellers to play, above his game, and it's kind of hard to do that with this offensive line. I still cannot wrap my head around the whole letting Alabama score there at the end of the game when they're on like the 38, I think they were on, and they just.
And you know what, Trip? I owe you an apology because I think what I was thinking of was that happened when it was 2 minutes left. No, it was when it was under a minute left.
There's like 35 seconds left.
You're right. Absolutely makes no sense. With no timeouts either.
Yeah, you've got them on like the 38-yard line. They run like a fake jet sweep and come out, and you just have your players running side by side with them with their hands up and let them take it 38 yards to the house. And Shane Beamer in the press conference saying like, yeah, our best game plan was to let them score and, get the ball back in our hands. It's like, yeah, you're getting the ball back with less than 30 seconds to go, man. Like this isn't a 2-minute drill offense that you're running down the field in the NFL and trying to, ice the game or send it to overtime, whatever the case may be. That was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Like, you have a chance to beat Alabama in any year, especially this one where you're playing as poorly as you are all season, and you've got a chance to force them to try to kick a field goal. And Alabama's, I don't even know the kicker's name off the top of my head. Not the greatest kicker in the country. So you force him to kick a 40 to 50 plus yard field goal, and you'd rather trust your offense that has played abysmal all year long to run down the field in less than 30 seconds. Like, I don't know. Like,
the worst yards per game and points per game offense in the SEC is South Carolina. And like you brought up a really good point talking about Sellers having to play out of his game. First off, I've never seen a freak athlete like that play quarterback. I don't think ever. The way he's like Earl Campbell getting out of sacks. Like
you never watched Cam Newton play football?
I mean, I was like 12 years old, but Cam Newton was not fighting for his. Cam Newton's team was not third in sacks allowed whenever he played.
Cam Newton.
Well, this guy breaks out of more sacks than anybody in the country. But I'm not here to play. I'm not here to play he's the greatest ever game. But I think he has to rely on that athleticism so much. He's scrambling out of the pocket so much that he's not able to really feel a defense, feel the rush. He's just having to be Superman all the time. But I'm telling you, watch a game, and I want you to write down how many sacks he escapes out of versus how many. They're third in sacks allowed in the country, and he is their leading rusher. Let that tell you something.
Yeah, and they can't run the ball other than with him, and he doesn't really, do anything that jumps off the paper at you either. So every defense that goes into them on a Saturday knows, hey, all we got to do is stop this run and force him to scramble. We're going to win this game every time. Like, now I'm not saying I was watching this game thinking, oh, South Carolina's taking this home. Like, it's Alabama. They're in every game until that clock expires. But the fact that you did have a lead and you do still have that lead and you give up that lead so that you can get the ball back with 30 seconds, that might be one of the dumbest coaching calls I have ever seen in my life. And there's been a lot of bad ones, but it's different if you've got like Ole Miss's offense or you've got like even Oklahoma's
just about to say that.
Offense, and you you have a powerhouse of an offense that you can, come behind and be like, we can get down this field in 35 seconds. Even that would be crazy, in my opinion. But you're South Carolina, and I'm going to be honest. When I first saw that play, I didn't even notice the DB that threw his hands back and let Jeremy Bernard score. I thought they just broke one off.
I think he's the only one who got the memo because everybody else was they just got beat.
Right. And then when I saw the press conference, I was like, oh, Shane Beamer's just making some excuse because they got scored on. And then when they showed the replay, after Shane Beamer's press conference of them actually doing this, I was like, oh, he definitely drew that up. That's, I don't know. I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm not gonna harp on this too long, but that is the craziest play call I've ever seen.
I'll tell you one thing about Beamer though. He's the guy for South Carolina. The difference between that team that played against Oklahoma and played against Alabama this weekend is two totally different squads. He's a fighter. He's not going to quit. So they do have the right guy leading that locker room. Does not exonerate him of that boneheaded decision that we just spoke of, but he's the right guy leading that locker room.
I agree. I like Shane a lot. I really do. And it doesn't help him that he gets one of the toughest schedules in the country every year with where they play, but he's not a guy that's going to get fired mid-season because of this record. I like him at leading that program.
He'll be, especially if they win, if they're not bowl eligible, he's coaching for his job next year. No doubt about it.
That I can agree with. Yeah.
Logan, you got anything on this?
Yeah. So I am on the opposite of the whole letting them score thing. Here is why. I don't think they let them score in a sense of the whole team gave up. I think kind of like Tripp said, it was just that one safety. I don't know if Beamer was if it gets to the last line of defense, let them score, or if it was just the safety that decided, hey, I'm going to let them score because they're already there.
No, Beamer said he drew that up before that play. He told them to let them score.
Yeah, that was the plan.
Okay. The plan was the only person in the play that I even just pulled up the replay because he was talking about a 40-yard field goal, and I was like, I think he was inside the 10, but he was not inside the 10. He was at the 15 whenever the dude first throws his hands up. So if he makes contact, we'll say they get him down at the 13 or get him out of bounds at the 13. At that point, all Alabama's going to do is kick a field goal. Yes, their field goal kicker sucks, but if you look at the numbers, he sucks after 40 yards. Under 40 yards, he's money. The devil's advocate to that is he's never kicked a game winner. But, I mean, we're talking about a 30-yard field goal where he's missed one his whole career versus 40-plus is when he was really shaky because they pulled up the stats during the game, towards the end. So, I'm not mad at letting him score once he gets to the safeties. If he told the DNs and everything like that, let him score from 38 out, yeah, that's insane. But from what I saw, and I didn't see the press conference, but from what I saw, it was just looks like he got to the safety. The safety sees at the 15. And he's kind of you know what? Let's give our offense a chance. So it's I kind of understood it because you see a lot of guys just go down and take the field goal, and then you're 100% out of it.
The logic, I don't think is a bad idea to let someone score, and you go down and win the game. I think that can be plausible. When you have an offense that is the worst in the SEC in every statistical category with under 30 seconds left and no timeouts, that's bad business.
But, I mean, I would say on the other side of that, you're at least giving your offense a chance.
What offense? Their offense
got on the field, though. Their offense got on the field is my point. If you push them out at the 13, what is Alabama going to do? Knee it and then run and throw it out of bounds? And you know what I mean?
Well, I think the point is they didn't draw up a play on defense there to try to make a big stop. The whole plan for this came out of Shane Beamer's mouth. I'm not saying from watching a replay or seeing the second level. Shane Beamer said in the press conference before that play, we said we were going to let Alabama score. So whether it was past the first level, past the second level, it didn't matter. They said that their plan was to let Alabama score no matter what.
I didn't see that part. But I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong. I mean, I believe both of you are saying it. I didn't see it. But from what I saw, it looked like it was only the safety. It was in that mindset. However, with that being said, I think this is the best game I've seen Lenore Selledge play all year. I haven't watched much of him, I will admit, but he looked good this game. I didn't watch the whole game, tuned in somewhere around the third quarter, I think it was. And I mean, kind of I think it was you, Joe, who touched on it. They were up 8, looked like it was pretty much their game late into the fourth quarter.
Especially how that defense was playing. They were were lights out.
I mean, I know Tripp touched on Matt Fuller only having 19 yards, and he got the bulk of the carries. Alabama only had, 72 rushing yards doesn't sound crazy, but their top rusher had 26 yards. He was averaging 2.6 yards a carry. So really neither team was getting it running. Sellers was, doing his thing on the ground. But I think Sellers did look good this game. Their defense definitely looks good. And we play them next week. I don't like that.
Yeah,
So,
their defense is going to be able to make them be able to win or keep them in any game. But Lenore Sellers, he would have had over 100 rushing yards if he didn't get sacked.
Yeah,
just telling you how much he gets sacked.
But I guess my biggest thing is we went into South Carolina last year and smoked them. So I'm sure after a tough loss to Bama, Sellers looks like he's getting back in the groove of things, and they have a chance to go into our place and kind of do the same thing we did to them. I hope this isn't one of those that they've had circled since last year. You know what I mean? And, at this point, I'm just a nervous Ole Miss fan because we always give up one of these. Last year we pretty much dominated y'all. And what did I tell you? We're going to lose to Florida or Mississippi State. And I'd be damned if Florida didn't run it all over us with DJ Lagaway just dogging us. But I will say this. You bring up them not making a bowl game, and you bring up them versus Clemson could be like both teams trying to make a bowl game. Both of those coaches could be coaching for their job at the if that's the case. I know you said you think Beamer's good until next year. This has been a very, very, very underwhelming year for South Carolina. They had a lot of hopes going into this, and
they've also been one of the against Oklahoma. They had 3 backup offensive linemen playing, and then 2 of them got hurt. Like they've been. This was the most healthy they've been the entire season, like bar none.
I'm not saying it's Beamer's fault, but if there's ever a time for you to say, you know what, let's move on from our coach. It's this year, dude. This year,
he just signed an extension. They're not getting rid of him. He literally just signed one before the season started. He's getting one more year.
Dude, college football don't care anymore. Well, I'm not saying he's getting fired, but the whole extension thing does not matter in college football anymore.
Well,
they're buying guys out.
We're talking about South Carolina versus like a blue blood program like Penn State, LSU, and Florida. South Carolina's going to give them a little bit more.
Colorado State bought out a coach.
Let's go ahead and move into that. Let's go ahead and move into one of those teams you just said, Trip. I think Logan may have been the only one who didn't pick A&M last week. I know Trip did. I did. LSU was playing well in this game. They were ahead. And then the bottom falls out and they absolutely get thrashed in their own stadium. 49-25. A&M just, God, dude, Mike Elko's got these boys on fire. I'm really impressed with them. The coaching job that he's done in between this last season and this season has really blown me away. But LSU ultimately plays a pathetic game. I mean, Garrett Nussmeier throws under 170 yards. They can't really run. Well, actually, it was one of their better nights running the ball. I say that, which had really been. They're the worst. I'm pretty sure they're actually the worst rushing team, just rushing yards for itself. Oh no, I lied. Oh, I thought because they were busting off some big rushes when I was watching it earlier, but ended up with only 60 yards.
Nussmeier's negative 44 rushing yards.
So that means that they really had closer to over 100. I hate how college does that. Like sack yards take away from rushing. That's so bogus.
Yeah, I agree.
But this game was so bad that Notre Dame or LSU, who this the writing, like we've all kind of alluded with a lot of these guys, the writing's on the wall about Brian Kelly's job. But they ultimately next day can Brian Kelly, middle of the season, who goes from being ranked the amount of time he went from being ranked top 25 ranked team to being unemployed in less than 25 hours is incredible. But you had a feeling this was coming. You had a feeling. I mean, this guy, it seems like there's always a big accountability issue. Like he's always blaming others. Why are you doing this? Like it seems like there's really no control. the regression of Garrett Nussmeier, who I predicted to win the Heisman, had this first or second highest odds coming into the season, which that never really means anything. But 5-3 gets fired. And God, it's kind of one of those things where I'm looking at it like you're looking at 4 seasons, 10-3, 10-3, 9-4, 5-3, you're fired. Are we going to be looking back at this in a few years and saying, God, why did they get rid of that guy so quickly? Next hire aside, if they hit the home run, it could be one thing. But just principle. Logan, you're nodding your head no. Why is that?
He was never the guy. Never once when Brian Kelly went to LSU I feel like it was a consensus overall thing of like, this guy does not fit the mold here. Like, you go from Ed Ogeron, who is like culturally like fits perfectly in with that Bayou-ass state, and people loved him, talks like he's from down there, and then you go to Brian Kelly, and the first thing he does is my family. Dude, to me, he never fit into LSU. He seemed like a fish out of water at LSU the whole time. Did they do some all right things there? Yeah, but it's LSU. Like, I mean, Billy Napier can win 10 games at LSU, it feels like. Like, that's just what LSU does. They win 10 games. Like, that's what they're going to do year in and year out. They're a great program. So, I don't think they're going to regret this. This is the first. I want to ask
you guys. Sorry, Logan. Keep going. My bad.
The last 3 coaches LSU had won a natty. Let's keep that in mind. This is the first coach they've had that hasn't won a natty since before Nick Saban. Saban won 1, Les Miles won 1, Ed Ogeron won 1. Their last 3 coaches have won natties. Like, that's crazy to think about. And I don't know. Brian Kelly just, from the jump, seemed like it was a circus act, him going there. Like, it really did. The My Family thing, I don't know if y'all remember the video that was posted of him in the selfie thing back-to-back with a crew, the camera spinning around him.
Literally, that
video dropped
that was
the same week he commits and leaves. Yeah, like the dude in the video decommitted and left. He was like, I'm out. Like, look at this bozo. Like, I don't know. Brian Kelly, I just never truly felt like he made sense at LSU. Like, he didn't fit the mold there. I don't know what it is. I don't really have a good way to say it, I guess. It just never seemed like he was the guy at LSU. Like,
so here's my question.
For LSU.
Here's my question. What does fit mean as a coach? The right fit. What does that mean?
Like, I don't know. Like, you go from like Les Miles, who was an oddball, 1 of 1, Ed Ogeron, oddball, 1 of 1, and I don't like I just said I don't really know how to put it in words. Brian Kelly and LSU.
Like Nick Saban, this is a guy who came from Toledo and Michigan State before going to LSU. You know what I mean? Obviously, arguably the best coach in the sport, but that doesn't really seem like a fit to me. You know what I mean? Like, it's really interesting to me because I've heard a lot of people say that. I just don't know what a coaching fit kind of means. What do you think that means, Tripp? Like, in your eyes, if somebody's a fit for a job?
I mean, to me, it just depends on the program. Like, a program like LSU, I feel like needs somebody that brings some type of electricity around them. Like, you're going to have the recruits. You've got the name, the brand. Like, I agree with Logan. Like, there's nothing that I look at him and say, like, you know, when you see, like, here's a perfect example. Since we're talking about the coaching carousel, if you took all the coaches that don't have a job right now, and you put them with AI into a different color scheme for a different team, you know how you can just look at one and be like, I can't see that. Like, that's the way I'm looking.
You don't like that purple and gold on BK?
I don't know. It's just like, and I don't want to, speak down too much on people on here, but like, I've never liked Brian Kelly to begin with, honestly. Like, if you read everybody, especially now, go look on Twitter and look at all the former players talking about how much of an asshole Brian Kelly is. Like, there's a lot of things that I don't know. Like, I don't think he's the worst coach in the world by any means, but I agree with Logan 100%. I think this is what Penn State thought they were doing to James Franklin. Like, the decision-making thing. This was a great decision by LSU. Now, the fact that they're having to beg their local government for donations to be able to afford it is crazy to me. But One thing I do want to point out, and we'll get into all the other stuff. I listened to the Cover 3 podcast a lot at CBS Sports Network. They do a college football podcast.
Trader.
And they were talking about how much the 12-team playoff has impacted coaching decisions like this. Like, it's now the new standard of, with 12 teams, like, you lose 3 games or more and you're on the cusp of not making a playoff with a high caliber team, see ya. Like, if this was a 4-team playoff still, does he still have a job? Maybe not. Probably not, to be honest. But that's like the expectation now, is you can't even make a 12-team playoff. Yeah, we'll find somebody that can get us there. Like, and I thought that was a really good point, which I know we got a million other things to talk about, but that's my whole answer on that. You
bringing up Tripp too, that a lot of players calling him like an asshole that had played for him. So I don't know if y'all have heard, but I mean, I'm sure I've heard the story. There was that safety. I want to say it was something Brooks. I think Brooks was his last name. He ended up getting like a brain tumor removed and got like pretty much, handicapped at this point. He was on like the Pivot podcast or whatever. So the story on that is Brian Kelly still to this day has never reached out to that man, who was a football player on his team, who got a brain tumor removed, and his life was changed forever after that. What kind of coaching leader of men are you?
He was forced to continue playing while I think it was something to do with being on concussion protocol, or like he wasn't feeling right, and they were like told him he still needed to play, and it's what led to him getting that brain injury.
And then Brian Kelly's reported to have never talked to him since. The hell with Brian Kelly. He does not need to be coaching young men if that's who you are.
Kind of like you guys were talking about, the whole not fitting thing. I see what y'all are getting at. I think that's a term. The way you guys describe it makes sense, but I think a lot of people kind of misuse the term a coach is not a fit. But my biggest thing is like I talked about, there's always a lack of accountability. Always I'm looking at you somebody saying, what the F are you doing? Hey, you can't do this. You can't call that. It seems like you have no control. But again, it seems like his coaching persona seems so phony, doesn't seem authentic at all.
Right.
Like you said, Tripp, it kind of feels like it's an AI experiment almost. So now I think it's unquestionably. I think if you made every job in the country vacant, nobody's got a head coach, LSU might be a top 5 job. I think that's an uncanny, like an uncanny number one job available right now. And I think like our good buddy Brooks Austin said the other day, if you're not DeBoer, Kirby, Ryan Day, or Sark, you've got to listen. You've got to take the call about that.
Or
they're reaching out to you. But my question is, Tripp, you alluded to it earlier as a pretty good segue. Is the standard in which coaches are hired and fired sustainable? I don't think it is. I think coaches are getting fired way too quickly because, like you said, the 12 team creates so much urgency now. We got to do this pretty quickly, and I think I saw Lane Kiffin talking about it too. It's so much harder in college to build rosters and things like that. It takes way more time to develop than say like a pro job does. So I see that the pro clock being a little shorter. I guess that makes more sense to me. But for college, it just seems like it's not sustainable. At what point are you going to run out of? You're going to have more vacancies than you do good candidates, and you're going to find yourself in a hamster wheel trying to get this figured out. LSU, I don't think has that problem because that's going to be everybody's number one. But what about when Florida State comes open? What about Colorado State, Oklahoma State, Arkansas? Eventually, these guys are going to run out. And not to mention, let's say, Logan, I hope this don't happen, and I don't think it will. Let's say Lane Kiffin takes one of these jobs. That job's got to get replaced. What if Drinkwitz leaves Missouri? That job's got to get replaced.
Yeah, that's a domino.
Like it's such a crazy wheel. I don't think it's sustainable. I really don't.
And then also touching on the Kiffin thing, last week to clarify, my whole perspective on why I didn't fully agree with that Ole Miss is so far underneath Florida as far as coaching jobs. And I've seen a lot of people say it, and I think they were putting it into words better than I could last week. But my whole thing is like talking about right now. And I know you guys are talking about like boosters and being able to like look at history and things like that. Like to me, I was like throwing that all out the window. Like, sure, he can go get more money at Florida to build a better roster. But right now, he's got a proven thing at Ole Miss. He's got stability at Ole Miss, like you're talking about, the hamster wheel. There's stability there. He has a track record showing like, hey, I've been at Ole Miss in this state, in this stadium, and won these big games. I've been on the road to win a big game against Oklahoma. I've won big games in our stadium. We've been neck and neck with Georgia and Sanford. So, like, to me, Ole Miss right now seems like more logical, especially with Kiffin's situation of like, hey, I've came back here. I have found myself. I've slowed my life down and quit living a fast-paced life. I've reconnected with my family, my ex-wife. We're back together. I have a family for the first time in my life. Like all those things that Kiffin constantly talks about, like he has literally said, like, I needed Oxford more than they needed me. So things of that nature, like him saying stuff like that, and with the coaching carousel being what it is, gives me a little bit of hope because maybe he looks at it as like, I go to Florida, and if I'm not contending for a natty in 2 or 3 years, I might be out of there.
Your leash is way shorter.
Yeah, same with LSU. So I'm hoping that maybe that is something he considers and stays put. But, I mean, as far as LSU, his name was thrown in the rumor last time before Brian Kelly got hired. Kiffin was thrown in there. And I remember saying it when we were talking about Florida. I'm like, if he doesn't leave for LSU, why does he leave for Florida? Because as we're all saying, LSU is clearly the better job. But now it's like he's also more established at Ole Miss and shown that he's a winner in the SEC, where before he's never shown the consistency at winning. He had one season at Tennessee or whatever. But, I mean, like you're saying, it could be a domino effect, whoever moves or goes. But as crazy as it seems, I see James Franklin being a better fit at LSU than I do with Brian Kelly because it seems more authentic, like you're saying. And honestly, I know I keep saying this and no one else is. Why not Jimbo Fisher? Like, if you want to win now, coach, I believe in Jimbo.
Like Graham told you, that
A&M
A&M stink kind of did him in. But I'm more so that's a good point that you bring up too, Logan, because about like you don't know what your timeline is at a place. Because Trip, I'm not sure if you saw the Kirby presser. They asked him about Brian Kelly, and he said because he was on Nick Saban's staff when he was at LSU, and basically told him somebody said this office something like basically like you're just renting it for now. And you got to think the leash is short at LSU, right? So that stability, I think the competitor and every coach is going to want that. Like, yeah, that's the kind of stakes I want to play for. But the reality of it is, it's just going to be again that hamster wheel, that cycle that's of just constantly going. And I think eventually you're going to have you're going to have a time where you have more vacancies than you do quality candidates. I mean, look at it. How many outside of like 3 guys who are, 3 or 4 guys who are like the guys to hire, where are you at? I mean, at Florida State, okay, let's say the 3 best coaches, let's just pretend, just for the sake of conversation, are Lane Kiffin, James Franklin, and Eli Drinkwitz. Let's say those are the 3 guys that are going to take the spot, right? Who are you going to want? Florida State, they're going to fire Jay Norvell. We know that. Or Mike Norvell, excuse me. Who's going to take that job? Who are you going to let take that job? With these guys gone, that's why you're not going to see Auburn fire Hugh Freeze this year, because they realize the candidate pool is – because you got to think about it, bro. Auburn is best case the 5th best job this year, 4th best job this year. We'll say that is best case. I don't want to get into a super big argument about it, but I'm just saying that the candidate pool is going to be so thin by that point that you can't, like, you've got to hold on to them. You've got to wait to see till you're the better job that's in vacancy.
There's one thing important I want to point out before I forget, just a fun statistics, just to talk about how crazy this coaching.
Here he goes.
So now with Brian Kelly being fired, college football teams are now on the hook for over $169 million in buyouts so far this season. So there have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
There's $100 million between 2 teams.
Yeah, exactly. So, but to touch on the points that you guys have been making for the last few minutes, number one, obviously the leash is short. But I think you have to look at it as a program by program basis. Let's talk about LSU, for example. They're firing Brian Kelly because he's had a top recruiting class every for the last few seasons.
Really good
Right.
portal class too.
Yeah, you get portal classes that come in. You have plenty of NIL money. You lose Bryce Underwood to Michigan. You haven't done shit in your conference, and you're not making the playoffs. So at some point, the front office has to go, okay, on paper, we should be doing the things we're supposed to be doing, and we're not. So you always go for the head coach, right? Florida State, if they fire Mike Norvell, it's because he's probably about to go 2 years in a row without even making a bowl game. If Mike Norvell wins even, I would say, 7 games this year, he's not in that conversation. Florida State is not a win-now program. It has not been since 2 years ago when they got kicked out of the last spot of the playoff. So I think that, yes, the leash is short, but mostly for teams that are like, hey, like Penn State and LSU, their mentality is we've got it on paper to make it happen. We should be in these conversations, and we're not getting there because of something other than talent. Florida's another great example. Florida hasn't been a win-now program, and Logan pointed this out when we talked about this last week, and I don't know how long, but they have a roster to be a win-now program. That's why they let Billy stretch out as long as he did, because they're not technically a win-now program, but they should be closer, and they're not. So, like, for example, let's say it's Drinkwitz or James Franklin or even Lane Kiffin that goes to Florida. Like, yeah, that leash would be short, but I think it's going to be a lot longer than it would be at somewhere like LSU. I mean, shit, we talked about this last week too. LSU fired Coach O 1 year after Natty. 1 year. That's about as short as a leash as it gets right there. So
Yeah.
I do think that it is crazy how quick a lot of these teams just up and move away from their head coaching job and expect somebody else to come in and put a Band-Aid over it. I like Drinkwitz. I think he's a good coach. I don't know how high his ceiling is. I don't see him doing anything crazy at a Florida or an LSU personally. I think he's a good coach, and I think he's better than Billy Napier. I don't know that he's better than a Brian Kelly. I truly don't. Like, what has he done that Brian Kelly hasn't?
Yeah, I don't mean him like exactly like. I'm just gonna say for the sake of like every list you're gonna read, he's gonna be in like one of those top 3. But I think the problem is more the scenario itself than the people that I'm referencing. So that's, I don't know. We're really interested to see if this is a cycle that speeds up and just firing people left and right, or and it's funny too because fans always prematurely call for people's heads. I've seen people, which these people are probably drug addicts, I would assume, say that's it. Kirby, Bobo and Schumann are calling games like this. Kirby needs to go next. No accountability. So I'm like, all right, you guys are idiots, but not going to make it about that. So,
I will say the just last thing I got to say about the coaching carousel, just based off what Tripp was saying, like as we're sitting here talking about it, and we've all said it, talking about the short leash on coaching, head coaching jobs. I mean, if you really think about it, all these big programs are naming. Billy Napier should have got fired last year. He got saved by DJ Lagaway. James Franklin, I mean, he got a very long leash. He was one of the longer tenured coaches when he was fired. Really, the only one in the carousel right now who has a short leash was LSU. And with that being said, I think we're all correct. I think we're all looking at it and seeing like it's about to be this way with everybody, the short leash that is. But it's like really and truly Penn State gave James Franklin plenty of time to prove it. Plenty of time. It is crazy they did it this year after what they did last year, being 1 game away from the Natty, but also they completely fell on their face and fell apart after that Oregon double OT loss. So it's like,
yeah, but I'll also say too, I think a leash can be a timeline, and it can also be like a performance leash. Like there could be like 2 separate leashes. Does that make sense?
I don't know if I follow it, to be honest, but
you're muted, Joey.
Billy Napier got canned in 4 years, right? That seems like that's a timeline one. James Franklin was there for 10 years and got canned after an 11-win season. That seems like it's a you're not it's a performance leash.
I think Nathan's a performance leash, bro.
Well, I don't want to play
500
semantics here.
record.
I'm just saying there's two different ways. I don't think it has to be about your tenure. It can be about what you can be here for a long time, like you have been with Franklin, and it not be about the it not getting done quick enough, I guess, if you will.
To me, the most shocking is definitely the Brian Kelly one. I will be honest, I did not see that coming. Like when that rumor started floating around, I was like, okay. I mean, like once I seen it, I was like, I never really felt like he was the guy there. But with that being said, like you're like Joey just rattled off 10 wins, 10 wins, 9 wins, 10 wins. Like, it's not like a performance thing. And also he hasn't been here that long exactly. So it's not a tenured thing to me. So like that one was more of a shocker, but also just shows that you got to win at LSU at the end of the day. Like they're not playing no games with nobody. Like you said, Ogeron, yeah, you won a natty last year. That's cute. What are you doing this year? Okay, well, here's $17 million. Walk out of that door. And I mean, Ogeron is quoted saying, once they told me they're paying $17 million for me to get fired, I told them, all right, when do I leave and what door do I walk out of?
Yeah.
It's literally an interview of him saying that, which is hilarious. But
17 million makes a lot more sense than 50 million.
Yeah. That just shows too the difference of money that college football has had in the last 5 years.
Well, and I think that, in years past, we've seen a lot more of like guys coming from G5 schools or being coordinators, getting, these big jobs and stuff like that. Like, I don't think teams like LSU, Florida, or Penn State are looking for people like that. They're looking for a home run guy. But to touch on your point really quick, Logan, the reason why I'm still just blown away by the James Franklin versus Brian Kelly is that James Franklin did take them to a playoff, and he was one game away from a natty, and he was doing that with way less recruiting than Brian Kelly had at LSU. So
and got screwed out of a championship, out of a playoff appearance in 2017. He should have been in the playoffs.
So if you comparing apples to apples, like, yeah, James Franklin lost 2 back-to-back games to unranked opponents where he was 20-plus points favored. There's no going over that, but like, is that really worth $50 million and going and trying to find a new head coach that can do something better with what you have in front of you? Like, that's to me where I don't understand. The Brian Kelly thing, where I'm not surprised, is like, you've got everything that you want in front of you. Like, I'm not saying Garrett Nussmeier is a Heisman quarterback, but he has the potential of being that.
He should be in the conversation.
He should be, but I also think, and another good point that came from that Cover 3 podcast is, if Bryce Underwood was sitting behind Garrett Nussmeier, Brian Kelly would have had that as a crutch to not get fired. It's like, hey, I just got us this guy. Like, give me next year to get him behind center and watch what happens, or even bring him in now. Like, but since you lost it, which it's hard to beat, Michigan came in with way, way, way more money than anybody would have anticipated. So I'm not saying that's Brian Kelly's fault in particular, but had he had him in that locker room, I don't think Brian Kelly would be looking for a job right now.
And I do agree with you on the James Franklin thing. I just think it's kind of been getting loud around him not winning the big game was the biggest part of him. But, I mean, I do agree, and I said it on the podcast that when he got fired, I think it's going to be a Dan Mullen situation where you're being a little ungrateful and you're going to wake up and realize, like, he's the reason you're there. He's the reason that you think you're this close to a natty. Once he leaves, I don't see them really replacing him with someone who's going to be a 10, 11-game winner for as many years in a row as he was. So, I mean, I've already said I think Penn State is going to regret their decision. LSU,
I agree with
on
that.
the other hand, I do not think they're going to regret it. LSU will go in there and get a powerhouse. They're going to still win their 10 games, and maybe they find somebody that can win 12 one year.
Assuming the Texas, Ohio State, Georgia, and Alabama are all employed, LSU will be the best job available if it is. Assuming those are all employed. That's going to be the best job you can get.
And that's why when you mention Auburn, I think one thing that saves Hugh Freeze's job is Auburn can't compete in this coaching carousel. Where next year they might be the top job.
That was the point I was making earlier.
No. I'm agreeing. Like I'm saying, like I'm agreeing. Because at first I was like, because I'm like he should get fired. But then when you sit back and think about it, you're like, what? You're the 5th or 6th best job. Like why would you? You know what I mean? Like why would you do that to yourself this year? So maybe a world Maybe there's a world where Florida State and Auburn hold on to their coaches just so that next year they're the top 2 schools. Maybe. But both those schools, if they fire their guys, no one's going to be surprised.
I'm going to say one more stat. and then we can keep it pushing unless y'all got something else y'all want to talk about when it comes to it.
We need to keep it moving. You're right. One more stat. Let's hear it.
Last stat I'm going to say for this segment. I got plenty more coming, but this is the last one for this segment. With the dismissal of Brian Kelly at LSU, there is now only one coach in the SEC that has hoisted that SEC championship trophy, and his name is Kirby Smart.
Yeah, baby.
And that leaves only two coaches that have been to an SEC championship that are active coaches in the SEC, and that's Sark and Kirby, and that was last year's SEC championship. That's crazy to think about.
That is wild.
Yeah,
the game moves, but you're never bigger than the game. That's for sure. It moves on without you.
Keep it pushing to Vandy because I got some good stuff for that too.
Yeah, so Vandy, first off, Vanderbilt is a top 10 team, 7-1, and we're on what, week 10 now? Cannot say I saw that coming. I think we'd all be lying if we said we did, but it's like if you watched, I watched, bits and pieces of this game. If you look at the box score of this game, you'd say, how does Vanderbilt win? They go 3 for 10 on third down, get out game by 100 yards, 13 less minutes of time of possession, and you win. So it's the biggest anomaly of a game I could conjure up. But when you're well coached and you win these, you win these close games because of that. And I'm not saying Missouri isn't, because they are, but God, man, this Vanderbilt, they're looking like they could. Again, they're in this SEC championship discussion in week 10. They haven't been like that since Big Daddy Frank was there.
Yeah, I think Vanderbilt finished the season. I could see them finish the season not losing another game, but I'm gonna say 10-2. They lose to Tennessee. I think next week. I mean, they might lose to Texas. Texas defense is good, and Arch looked pretty good last week. But we'll talk about that down the road.
He did have a pretty good game. I agree with that.
But yeah, we'll talk about that later on. But I mean, yeah, Vanderbilt's sitting at 7-1, and the two games on their schedule that's kind of needs to be circled are Texas next week, and then their last game against Tennessee. So, I mean, I could honestly see a world where even if they win one of those two, I think they're in the playoff talks, and I don't think there's a question about it. And I don't know if I necessarily see them going 11-1. I mean, maybe, but I don't know. I think they will finish 10-2. Maybe, I don't know. Tennessee or Texas might get them. I feel like they should beat Texas, but Texas defense is really good. And Arch maybe follows up with another good game. I'm not sure, but I think at the end of this season, Vanderbilt's in the playoff conversation, along with a handful of other 2-loss SEC teams.
It's going to be tough for the committee this year. I'm going to be honest with you. This is why they keep extending it right here. It's because of years like this year. I agree. I think that there's a very good chance they lose to Texas this weekend, which we'll get into our picks here shortly. And I don't want to discredit Vandy by any means, because like they're just one of those teams that just keeps finding ways to win, and they're fun to watch. One thing I do want to point out though is seeing a lot, especially after this past week, of people like saying Diego Pavia should be considered higher in the conversation for Heisman talks. I disagree. I think that if the trophy was a little bit different, like maybe biggest impact player for a team, or like an MVP, most valuable player to a team kind of thing, like I could see that being a conversation. But as far as best player in the country, that's debatable. And I'm going to tell you why. So got a list here. SEC quarterbacks versus ranked teams this year. So we have 3, 6, 9, 12, 16 quarterbacks on this list. You guys want to take a guess where Diego Pavia ranks in QBR?
12.
14.
Dead last.
Oh, but I was going to say, is it 16?
He's got a worse QBR than Mr. Jackson Arnold himself. In 2 ranked games, he has completed 57% of his passes for a total of 327 yards, 6 yards an attempt, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, with a QBR of 107. Just want to throw that out there. And also the top of the list, Gunnar Stockton.
Baby.
Right above Ty Simpson. But anywho.
Quick question: where's Chambliss on the list? Just out of curiosity.
2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh, he's down there. Okay, keep it moving. We're good.
12. He's 12th. DJ Lagway actually is 3 spots.
Hey,
ahead.
he didn't play one of the SEC games. I'm just saying.
Well, this isn't versus ranked teams. This isn't against SEC teams. This is against ranked teams.
Oh, okay. I thought it was against SEC. My bad. I misheard.
No. This is just versus ranked teams. So,
okay, you're
you
good.
know, I still think Diego Pavia is a dog. I'm not taking anything away from the guy. But I don't think this team has what it takes. I love what I'm seeing out of them, and I mean this wholeheartedly. I'm not trying to talk bad about Vanderbilt because I want to give them their flowers for having the year that they're having. I don't see them going to an SEC championship, and I don't see them really making a lot of shake in the playoff unless they get a first round against a kind of like even caliber team. But I will say they have impressed the whole country this year. I am enjoying watching them play football, but they still got a lot of work to do. And I'm gonna leave it at that. We'll go into predictions later, but I think that in these next 4 games that they pick up 2 losses. Personally,
I'm kind of right on that. Me and Logan, if you guys have been watching the NFL episodes, you've been hearing we've talked about kind of how the Colts are like, man, they're a machine right now, best record in the league. I don't know in week 1 of the playoffs if I'd pick them to beat anybody in the AFC, given who could make it. That's kind of how I feel about Vanderbilt. I mean, like Pavia, I think is a bigger personality than he is an elite football player. He's made a lot of improvements this year, but I mean, he just won a game where he threw a pick and threw 129 yards. Like he's just, some people are in really good situations. Like he's like a lesser, not as good version of Haynes King to me.
I agree.
Go ahead. I have a comparison that I was going to make, but I'll let you finish.
I was just really going to say that. I think he's a really exciting guy, but I'm not sold on him leading anybody to a chip or a SEC championship for that matter, playoff game, whatever.
I mean, I agree. And what I was going to say is it's almost like a Temu, however you say it, Tim Tebow.
Temu Tebow?
I wouldn't even give him that.
He can lead a team, but the thing is, he doesn't have the amount of talent around him, and he's not going to lead them to a national championship. Like, he's not going to put the team on his back. But the same, like, he's in a perfect system. He's one of those guys who just has that, like, aura around him where you're like, I really enjoy watching this guy play football. He might not be the most talented football player, but he wins, you know? And that's kind of what Tebow was. So, like, that's what I'm saying, like a Tebow, like a very, 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 very lesser version and a lot less talent around him. But it kind of gives me that vibe of, like, you like watching him. You like the guy. He's a dog. He's got moxie, but it's like maybe not the most talented. Winner, you can say that. He's a winner. But
I don't think I'm ever going to be able to call him anything aside from Temu Tebow now. I think that might –
I think you're giving him too much credit.
If I had his phone number, that might be his name in my phone. I would call him a Temu Haynes King. I wouldn't even go Tebow.
I got whenever you guys are ready before we transition into our picks, I got a couple more trivias for you.
Go ahead. We'll go ahead and get into that now. So go ahead now. Rip them off.
All right. So there are 2 more. Go ahead, Logan.
One more game I want us to touch on. We don't have to spend a lot of time on. Texas and Mississippi State was a crazy ass ending.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that a little bit in the pick'em. I want to give Mississippi State the award. I'm going to rip off the Bill Simmons podcast here and give up these made up awards. Mississippi State Bulldogs are the runaway winners in the Pissing Down Your Leg trophy.
The almost upset team of the century.
What they just did these past 2 weeks needs to be studied. Did y'all see the Barstool guy?
Yes, I hate that, man. So I'm so happy to see all that.
Dude,
that was the best.
Did you see the AI?
The cinema that they had was amazing.
They had a bunch of AI edits of him like changing the play, of him like. I'll have to say, I don't know if you saw it when I sent it the other day, but it was like one of them he tackled, the other one he took the ball and started running. It was so funny, but it was hilarious to me that happened dead in front of him.
Dude, I cannot stand that guy. I think he's horrible. Like, he does not know football. Like, I really feel that way about him. Like he's an ignorant State fan. Like that's
I'm
he
not
fits the
gonna
bill.
I'm not gonna use this to rub it in the face of others or anything like that or discredit other media outlets, but he does do some pretty unlikable things. I'll give you that. But it was just hilarious to me to see that. Yeah,
But
no,
yeah.
you're right. A crazy game. Mississippi State is up 2 touchdowns in was it in the fourth quarter? I know at one point they're up 38-28.
17. No, 38-21 with less than 10 minutes to go.
And next thing I know, it's overtime. I'm like, what is going on here? Yeah, that's God, Mississippi State, dude. But I don't know which one is worse. That loss to Florida. I really don't know. I would have to say this one actually because they blew a 3-possession game. But good God, yeah, you're
Don't
right.
forget
That's 100% worth bringing up.
Texas also went to overtime with Kentucky.
Yeah, the real worst offense in the SEC.
Like
Yeah.
honestly, there's a world out there where State could be 7-1. The only team that truthfully dominated State and they didn't piss down their leg on was A&M. Because like they could have very easily beat Tennessee. They let Tennessee get back in it and win in overtime. They should have beat Florida on a field goal, and instead they're throwing the ball and throw an interception. And then you got Texas out here who you blow a 17-point lead. Like that's 3 wins that you can have. Like literally 3. The only one looking at their schedule where they didn't piss down their leg and give it away was A&M, and A&M just kind of dominant. They stuck around with A&M until about mid-third quarter, and then A&M took off on them. But Tennessee, they easily could have won. Florida, they should have won, and they damn sure should have been able to lock it up and finish off Texas. And keep in mind, not only did Archie, or Art, I keep saying Archie, Ole Miss, Jesus. Not only did Arch, not only did they come back, but Arch had a phenomenal throw and great catch as well. But the ball placement was only where the defender, or only where the receiver could go get it, and he went and got it and review catch. That ends the game. He ended up throwing, I think it was 365 on the road at Mississippi State. I know Mississippi State's not like a powerhouse or anything. Them fucking cowbells are loud, bro, and they're obnoxious as hell. So shout out to Arch staying cool, calm, collected, and coming back down by 17 with 10 minutes left in the fourth. I mean, we've shit on him all year, so I got to give him a little bit of flowers. He looked good. I mean,
that's the frustrating
he had 3
part with
tugs,
him.
I think 1 pick.
That's the frustrating part with him is because he'll have a game where he looks like that, but then the lows are way too low for how the talent that he has. It's.
But usually the games like this are against UTEP. Like this is actually a quality opponent.
Yeah. No. You're right. You got anything to add on the Trip?
No, y'all ready for that trivia?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry, Trip.
Right.
I just wanted to get that in because that was a good game.
No, yeah. That one definitely should have been touched on. That was an insane game. So there are 2 teams ranked in the top 25 that have a top 10 strength of schedule. Do y'all want to guess who those 2 teams are?
Hold on. Let me pull up the top 25 so I can actually have it in front of me.
I'll give you a hint. They're both in the top 10.
I want to say Alabama and Georgia.
What would your guess be, Logan?
I mean, just hearing that sounds like a great guess. But let me look. 1 second.
I think they both had the most ranked wins.
Yeah, that is correct. Alabama's at 4, Georgia's at 8. And does anybody want to take a guess on who the team in the top 25 has the 3rd worst strength of schedule out of all the ranked teams?
Ohio State.
No.
Okay, no, because Texas kind of inflates that.
They're also in the top 10.
Miami? No, Miami can't be it.
Miami's not in the top 10.
Yeah, they are. They're 10.
Or they are 10. No. Yeah, it's not them.
Okay, hold on. Let me.
Well, actually, the AP poll has them both. BYU and Miami are tied at 10.
Hold on. Let me look.
Oh, it might be Tech.
Is it Tech?
It is Tech. Tech has the
83rd,
83rd ranked strength of schedule.
Wow.
The other one I wanted to point out.
Tech's one good win is Clemson, who looks terrible now. At the time, it was a good win.
I think that's still a good win for them. So Alabama has won 4 ranked games in their last 5 weeks. Jesus. Indiana has 2 ranked wins since COVID.
And one of them was this year.
In all fairness, they just got good.
That's crazy though, with how people are talking
yeah.
about Indiana. I'm not saying Indiana's not good. Don't nobody watching this twist my words. I'm not here saying that Indiana's a bad football team by any means. But that shows you how rough the Big Ten is. And that also shows you when it comes to, I think, strength of schedule wise, Indiana is at 42 in the country. So it's kind of like Logan brought up a few weeks back when, he was saying, would you rather be one of those teams that gets a cakewalk into the playoff, or would you rather be a team that gets tested? Like, have we truly seen, other than when Indiana played Oregon, like who this Indiana team truly is? Like, I think that's a question that's very fair to ask. Now, granted, Mendoza is a hell of a ball player. I love Signetti. I think they do have a good football program going over there. But I thought that was crazy. They only have 2 ranked wins since COVID. That is insane.
Yeah, that's a wild, especially with COVID being 5 years ago. That's a pretty wild way to frame anything now.
I will say this, Indiana, I felt like this week could have maybe been like a trap game for them, with it being UCLA kind of riding high since they made the coaching changes and everything. They were on a win streak. But, dude, they put belt to ass. Like,
that was the game people were mad that College Game Day wasn't there.
Yeah, that's insane.
That's true.
But
yeah.
UCLA, I mean, I was kind of like UCLA's riding high. Maybe Indiana like sleeps on them, but no, they went out and handled business. So.
They went to sleep.
Indiana's a good football team, man. I'm not taking anything away from them.
Well, with that, y'all ready to go and pick these few games?
Let's do it.
Oh, yeah.
I put Penn State, Ohio State on here just because of the enormity of that rivalry and what it's been the past few years. Does anybody want to guess the spread in this game?
23.5.
Give me, what'd you say, 23.5, Logan?
Yeah.
I think it's probably like 28.5.
No, y'all are both a little high. It's 20.5.
Yeah. I was saying, it was loading as I said it, and then I scrolled down and found it as he was looking or guessing.
Yeah, so not much to run into. I think we're all going to go Ohio State. I'm not even going to spend any time on that one.
Yeah.
If Penn State were to win, I'm not even going to do it. Is hours out too? No.
Hey,
okay,
look, one quick thing. One thing from me about Ohio State. RIP Nick Mangold went to Ohio State. Kind of crazy. The whole kidney situation, kind of crazy. So RIP that man.
Yeah, that was really sad, man.
Yeah, especially, man, that was awful. Nothing but good things you hear about him.
Indeed. So just want to give him a little shout out, T's and P's,
Well, next game, one we talked about earlier, Vandy and at Texas 2.5 point favorite. I am taking Texas in this one. I think this is the wake up call Texas needs to show, hey, we still are one of the best teams. Whether or not there'll be a playoff or SEC champion contender team, who knows? But I think you're going to see them kind of remind everybody, and then Vanderbilt's going to kind of get a reminder too about kind of the SEC hierarchy. So give me Texas by 10.
By 10. That's
I feel like they're going to put on a clinic.
I mean, my thing about this is I'm going to take Texas as well, but that's depending on what version of Texas shows up. If Texas is showing up with their best game, they should win this game with ease. That defense is going to completely destroy any game plan that Vanderbilt has if they show up how they should. What version of Arch Manning are we going to get this week? That's the biggest question mark. So, I mean, Texas has played some questionable games this year, with a couple of them being very recent in Kentucky and Mississippi State, which two teams which everybody's due for going and playing Kentucky and getting their bell ring. But I think Texas should win this, but this could very well go Vanderbilt, and I would not be surprised.
I personally would be very surprised if Vanderbilt wins, but they are 7-1, so we'll see.
I do agree. I'm going to go with y'all. I think Texas, but kind of like Tripp said, I think the biggest factor of this game is going to be how Arch Manning plays football. I think the Texas defense is going to show up, but I think if Texas defense shows up and Arch Manning doesn't, this could be a dogfight, which Vandy seems like they win those, but also so does Texas. So I think it'll get interesting, but this is completely off topic, but I just want to point and laugh at this real quick. Bill Belichick went to North Carolina. North Carolina's playing at Syracuse, and tickets are $4. What a joke. Going on.
That's fantastic.
I just seen that and was like, what is this? But
Oh
yeah,
my
we can
gosh.
go on. I just want to say $4 and Bill Belichick had all that hype is insane.
Yeah, you can go to that game cheaper than Chick-fil-A.
Cheaper than any meal.
Syracuse only a 2.5-point favorite in that too. That's crazy.
I do want to say,
Hey, Memphis is ranked.
Huh?
Memphis is ranked. I said last week them and USF would be a good game. They ended up beating them and got ranked because of it.
You did bring that up.
But,
yes,
yeah.
you did. I do want to say,
There.
be expected. Do not. Tripp said you wouldn't be surprised if Andy wins. Do not be surprised if Diego Pavio looks unplayable this game.
Yeah, I can see him. I can see a world where he's rattled back there with that Texas line.
Okay, so 3:30. Tripp, we've got a game that we love and cherish dearly. Number 5, Georgia at Florida. There's two sides of this to me. So is Georgia clearly the better team? Should they win? Obviously. And I'm going to pick them to win. I think there's a side of Florida. This guy who everybody was kind of ready to get out of town is no longer coaching. A guy, Coach G, as I call him, Gonzalez. A lot of guys really seem to like him. You never know how a team can inspire from that. And at the same time, if Florida comes out and gets punched in the mouth 14-0, I don't know how they're going to come back. I don't know how they react from that without having their head coach at the helm. Georgia's a 7.5-point favorite. I'm going to go Georgia in this one. There's no reason they shouldn't win. Obviously, Florida got a lot of talent, but I think that that absence in leadership at the top, I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens when they get punched. And Georgia, we know what's going to happen. They're punching back. So it's just a matter of you being able to withstand that. But yeah, give them dogs, baby.
Go ahead, Logan.
I agree. I think dogs by 1 million, to be honest. I think they might, after what they did to us, dude, they might cover the spread. The over-under alone. They might put up 51 by themselves. After what they just did to Ole Miss, dude, I got no faith in Florida. Like, Billy Napier gone. Maybe you get the new coach boost. I don't know. But, realistically, I think Georgia wins this game and controls it the whole time. Not to keep talking about ticket pricing, but I thought $87 was very low for this game. And also, you can see a ranked Louisville play live and in action at Virginia Tech this week for $7. So these ticket prices getting shown on the schedule is wild to me, but I'm not trying to spend a lot of time on that. But yeah, I got Georgia. Go Dogs.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Georgia in this one as well for obvious reasons. But Florida has a damn good defense, man, and I think that is going to be something that we're going to have to overcome this week. The thing that scares me about this game really is just how well we run the ball, because it seems to be that when we run the ball well, everything is one fluid motion. But I think Georgia handles this with ease. I don't think that they blow them out by any means. And by all means, I hope you're right, Logan, that we cover that over-under by ourselves. But I think Georgia takes this one away. I used to go to this game every year in Jacksonville. God, talk about a good time, man. It's so much fun down there. When they say it's the world's largest cocktail party, they are not kidding. It is insane down there.
Hey, my prediction, 37-14.
That sounds lovely. I get down with that.
Those numbers just came to me, so I'm going to shout them out. And that covers the spread at 51, by the way.
Florida does have some guys, too. I mean, they've got Dallas Wilson's really good. Obviously, Lagway, one of the most talented guys at the quarterback position. So they've got some guys to sneak up and beat some teams that they shouldn't. I don't think Georgia's that team, but definitely can. Okay, so at 7, we got South Carolina at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is a 12.5-point favorite. Given how good South Carolina's defense is, that seems a little generous to me. I am going to take the Rebels. I'm going to take them in a 1-score game, just because I think South Carolina, really emotional loss, ready to get back and prove who they are. Ole Miss, big win last week. When you coming off a big win and a team loses a game that maybe they shouldn't have lost, and I use that in air quotes, you never know how those games go, how the I guess kind of the difference in emotions will wrap up there. I think again, Ole Miss just flat out the better team, no question about it. But I think South Carolina is going to give them some trouble. Go ahead, Trip.
Yeah, I'm 1000% taking the Rebels here. And I think they cover this spread without an issue. I truly think Ole Miss is about to blow the doors off of South Carolina this week. I think that their defense that's a little payback for you saying Georgia's going to score 50-something points.
Fingers crossed, baby. I'd love to see it.
I hope we're both right. But, I think that South Carolina's defense is good enough to, hang around. But I do think that Ole Miss is just going to gas them out for 4 quarters. And eventually South Carolina's defense is going to be worn out. I will say that if South Carolina wants to find a game to run the ball successfully, that this might be a week for them to maybe get that ball rolling on that. No offense to Ole Miss's run defense, but they have proven to, be a little lackadaisical in the run defense. So I definitely think that South Carolina could be successful in a lot of parts of this game, but I think Ole Miss is about to destroy them.
No offense taken, not from me, but hopefully our D-line takes offense to that and actually stops the fucking run for a week.
Yeah, you hear that?
Yeah. Get it together, boys. No, I have Ole Miss. I don't know how confident I am that we cover the spread because it seems like we can only play one-score games this year. It's insane how many one-score games we've been a part of. So I don't know if I really trust us to cover the spread just because it seems like we like to keep it a one-score game. However, Rebel Nation needs to show up. Lane Kiffin partitions year after year for night games in Oxford. He also partitions for fans to show up year after year in Oxford. And showing up usually isn't the problem. It's staying and being loud because they like to – you talk about the biggest cocktail party in the world. Ole Miss is like that on a weekly basis. Like if they're in the Grove, dude, they're getting drunk there at 7 a.m. sharp, and they're hammered. They usually are leaving at halftime if they make it to the game. This being a night game, there's going to be a lot of drinking all day long. We need the fans to show up and show out. And when you got – all the hoopla around us that you got right now, hey, I get it. Kiffin's rolling, so everybody wants to come pluck them from us. But this is when our fan base has to show up and back Kiffin. Like, Kiffin all week is posting on his Instagram story talking about, like, pack the vault, pack the vault. This is when you do it. There's rumors that he is leaving. There's rumors that he might go elsewhere. We need our fans to show up and show out. Like, this needs to be – I need Lenore Sellers like this, bro, when he's going to hike the ball. Like, I need him having the shakes. That place is so loud. And I know it won't happen. But, like, there's ever a time for Oxford to get behind Lane Kiffin and show him how much, like, he means to the city and how much he means to this football program, our fans need to show up this game, and they need to get loud. And they need to be a 12th man, to be honest. I think that Ole Miss's crowd should be a part of this solely because how much Kiffin is begging them to do it. And then with all the rumors around Kiffin, hopefully our fan base shows up and supports him because Lord knows Lane Kiffin deserves it with what he's done in Oxford. So I think Ole Miss, just don't know if I'm sold on them covering the spread because it seems like we haven't done that at all this year. I mean, I guess we might have covered spreads, but not 2 possession spreads against SEC opponents.
One thing worth noting about the home field advantage, not been bad the past couple weeks, but South Carolina very prone to pre-snap infractions, false starts, illegal snaps more than I've ever seen. So definitely something to keep track of. And then 30 minutes later, we got Oklahoma at Tennessee. Tennessee in 3.5-point favorite. Tennessee's winning this ball game. Again, we talk about them. I know I have about them playing a lot of man-to-man defense. I think this is a team you can beat in Oklahoma with man-to-man. Aguilar's going to have, with this defense that he's playing, he's going to have a razor sharp game. They're able to run the ball too. I think Tennessee, despite the 2 losses that they have to Georgia and Alabama, could debate are probably the best 2 in the league, in the SEC. But I think that they're gonna have a statement win this week. Give me the Vols.
Yeah, I'm actually going to take Oklahoma here.
Oh,
I think this is going to be a bounce back game for Venables, and I think he's going to have that defense looking pretty sharp to shut down Aguilar. I definitely think that Tennessee could very easily win this game. I think this game could go very similar to the Georgia-Tennessee game, where it's a lot of back and forth. I don't necessarily see it being an overtime thriller like the Georgia-Tennessee game was by any means, but I do think that Oklahoma pulls this one out.
We talked about it weeks back. Oklahoma's schedule is very, very tough right now. Oklahoma's lost 2 of 3. They just lost to number 8 Ole Miss. They're about to play 14 Tennessee. Then they play 4 Alabama. Then they play 19 Missouri. And then they play currently unranked LSU, who could get back in the rankings. We all know before that happens. I think I'm going to go Tennessee. And the reason why I say this is because I think Tennessee has a real shot at the playoffs if they win out. And I don't see a world where Oklahoma wins out, especially not the way Mateer's kind of playing right now. Oklahoma's defense does look good, but I think with it being in Neyland at night, I think Tennessee gets the dub here. And I think Tennessee Vanderbilt, the last game of this season, could really depend who's going to be in that playoff talk. I think the winner of that game could be in or out, to be honest. So I think Tennessee in this one. And hopefully I'm right. I would love to see a Vandy Tennessee game last week of the season for playoff potential. You know, that'd be a sweet game to watch, but got Tennessee in the balls on this one.
All right, in our last game, one of those old school lovely West Coast. I guess it's technically not West Coast, but Cincinnati, Utah. I don't know if y'all saw, but I don't think it has any bearing on this game. Did you guys see what Utah did to Colorado last week?
Oh yeah,
43-0 at halftime.
That was bad, bro.
I didn't see it, but I heard.
Oh, dude, it's awful. But Utah, I think that the Utah that we had expected or that we've been used to didn't see last year, but a really physical, well-coached football team with Whittingham over there, a guy who's never going to leave as long as he wants to be there. I think they're 8.5-point favorite in this game. I'm definitely taking the Utes to knock off, or I wouldn't call it knock off, but to beat number 17 Cincy.
Go ahead, Logan.
I'll jump in here just because these are two teams that I am very, very ignorant about. I have lack of knowledge for both of these schools. I'm just going to go play it safe here. Don't know much about either one. So I'm going to go Utah just because they're 81% favorites, almost 80.6. So I'll ride with the matchup predictor and go with the Utes.
Yeah, I think that Cincinnati has a legit offense to where they can make this a lot closer of a game than this spread is showing. But after what I saw last week, not to say Colorado is them beating them that way, it just proves everything. But Utah's legit, man, when it comes to having some guys. So I don't think they blow the doors off of them by any means like the spread is showing. But I think Cincinnati keeps it a close one, but I think that Utah does end up pulling it out.
Well, all right. That ain't anything else anybody needs to add. That's going to be it for us, guys. I always appreciate everybody tuning in. Have the NFL episode out tomorrow. And if you ain't got nothing to do, sit down and watch football this weekend. That's always a great way to take up time. Lots of big games like we just talked about. Sit on the beach. Can't talk. Sit on the beach too. Sit on the couch. Crack a cold one. Enjoy the ride. That's all I gotta say.
Hey, what time's Georgia play?
3:30.
3:30.
I was gonna say let's watch some ball this weekend, but I'll have to see what. Let's try to watch some ball this weekend.
We'll
together.
talk after.
Yeah, for sure.
After we get off. So, all right, guys. Well, Chip, you about to say something? All right, guys. Well, we appreciate everybody. See you later. Peace.